Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. I'm thrilled that you are listening today. I am a registered holistic nutritionist and advanced fertility nutritional advisor and all the things. And I'm happy that you are here with me for this podcast episode. We are diving into all things EMF with my good friend, Marjorie. So Marjorie and I met at the Biohacking Conference in 2023 and really just hit it off. And, we were kind of Instagram friends before that. And it was awesome to really connect in person. And then shortly after, we did a podcast episode together and I interviewed her all about her line of clothing of blocking EMF from women's bodies. So EMF is electromagnetic fields, and basically it protects the body from things like your computer and your phone and Wi-Fi and 5G and all this radiation kind of around us or directly on us. And so it was a really great episode. And now we just did a follow-up one that you're about to listen to. And we definitely talked about that, but we also talked about the impact of EMF in a baby's nursery. Or a child's room. What are the sources? Where is it coming from? And what can we do about it? So we go above and beyond when we're looking at how it impacts people in this episode. It's not just women, it's to our families, which I love. Marjorie has kids and, she shares her story on what her experience was like with that when she was going through the early days when the kids were really young and stuff like that. So we definitely touch on a lot. I think you're going to learn a lot from this episode. And, I hope it's one that's very tangible. And I hope it teaches you that there's actually, a lot that you can do. Before we dive into it though, let's do DM of the day. This one is from someone on Instagram. I mean, they're all from Instagram. So this person, she was talking to me about where she's living and stuff. So I'll skip that part. And then she said, thank you for your valuable content on biohacking and PCOS. It really helped me deal with all of my symptoms. I don't know where I'd be without it. And I listen to every single episode and download every one that comes out every week. And so then I just talked to her more about her PCOS and stuff like that. So thank you to that DM. Thank you to her. I have a lot of episodes on PCOS from, I think, 2023, maybe even 2024. I don't know. You can go on my website and just type in PCOS in the search bar and they'll come up. And I think this is really helpful because PCOS is on the rise, which is problematic and scary. And there's a lot of people who really need support. There's a lot of women who need support for it. And, I should really bring on a PCOS expert, I think, because I would love to dive more into how to heal the holistic side of things and everything like that, because there is so much that you can do. And I had a low-key PCOS scare in 2020, was never officially diagnosed. And it really triggered me to explore women's health in a much more significant way than I would have. Like, it was the reason why I developed my baby steps course and program that there's women in right now that helps women get pregnant. It was, that's a whole story in itself, but it really was important to me to focus on that. And it really shocked me. And I think I've done a couple podcast episodes on that whole story. So go and listen to those if you're somebody who's kind of grappling with that, because it's tough. It really is tough. And it's not an easy diagnosis to get because it's complicated. PCOS it's complicated and the root cause is complicated and there's so many different opinions and I don't want to get fully into it, but I should bring on an expert and should do another episode on it because I have learned more in the last few months about it. It's one of those things that I see on TikTok a lot, actually, because it's a lot of younger women who are dealing with it, like 20s, 30s, maybe even teenagers. I don't know. Probably not. I think most women get diagnosed with PCOS in their late 20s is what I've heard. But still, that's kind of where I see people talking about it. So if you have any PCOS questions, you can ask me. I can help you as much as I can. And then if I don't know the answer, I'll just point you in the right direction to somebody who does, some sort of book or podcaster or expert, because that's kind of what I do. Shout out to Glycanage for all my friends out there listening who really care about cellular health and longevity like I do. You really, really should get your Glycanage test done. So this is your biological age in relation to your inflammation. So if you're wondering, hey, are all my biohacks and my healthy lifestyle practices working? This is a great way to test if they are working, because if your test comes back and it's lower and you have lower inflammation in your body, that means that what you're doing is doing a good job, right? And if it comes back higher, maybe you are exposed to something that is causing your body a lot of stress. Maybe you are under a lot of mental stress that you need to work on. So there are so many factors that really go into it, but it tests glycans in your body, which are a direct relation to the amount of inflammation. So I really suggest people do this. You can use my discount code biohackingbrittany. I will tell you that my results were higher than my chronological age the first 2 times I did it. And not higher, like low-key higher, like 1 or 2 years. I think the first time I did it was like 10 years higher. And I was like, I'm going to cry. Yeah, so dramatic. But, it was also during COVID. And so that's my caveat for that is like, I think I was just not in a good place mentally or physically. I haven't tested recently. Obviously, pregnancy, postpartum, not really the time to test for it. I don't think my inflammation is probably at a healthy point right now. So it is something I will be circling back to in the few months and getting tested. And a shout out to Mimeo. I know you guys love Mimeo. Mimeo is like an up and comer in the biohacking space. I have known them since 2023. They were like my one of 2 top supplement brands that I found in 2023 that I was like shouting out to everybody. They are now like going to the biohacking conferences and like speaking at them, and like they're really up and coming and doing great things. And I'm really proud of them because, biohackers are early adopters and we love this stuff. So they focus on cellular health and cellular aging as well. Things like autophagy, and they have a supplement that has 4 different biomimetic ingredients in it. And basically that means that it mimics different compounds in our body, and we can use them to our advantage and really get the cellular health benefits as we kind of start to produce less and less of that as we get older. It also mimics a 36-hour fast, which I love because that is not something that I am capable of doing right now. So you can use my discount code biohackingbrittany and definitely check them out and support them. Enjoy this episode today with Marjorie from Juunaday. That's her line of clothing. I love her. I love her clothes. I have multiple pieces and I recommend it to anybody, not just the women out there who are pregnant, but any woman really. And definitely think about these tips that she recommends as well when looking at your kids' room or nursery or even your own bedroom, because EMF is kind of everywhere now. So it's not that great. So enjoy this, and I will catch you soon for another episode. Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. I am so excited that you are listening today. I have my dear friend on with me, Marjorie Tong, and we have known each other for over a year now, which is impressive. And she is the founder of Juunaday, which is a line of clothing that protects you from EMF for women, which I love, and I have multiple pieces from. And before we hopped on the air, we were just talking about the most recent biohacking conference, or the Hack Your Health conference that she went to. And we were just catching up. So Marjorie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brittany. It's so good to be here again.
I know. When was the first time we did our episode together? Was it about a year ago?
It must have been. It was shortly after the biohacking conference.
Nice. I love that. We were connected on socials. And then we met at the conference, and then it was like, we have so much in common. Let's do this.
Yes. It was instant connection. It was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those people who don't know or maybe didn't listen to that episode last year, what is Juunaday and like how did you even come up with that idea of creating that clothing line?
Well, I was in 2020 working a corporate job and commuting into an office every day. And once lockdown happened, I found myself at home working hours a day with a laptop on my lap and my phone next to me. And a couple months into doing that, I started experiencing some unusual symptoms. I was having really long panic attacks. I was having trouble focusing. I was having pain in my arms and my hands and tingling in my face, and just overall just didn't feel right. And yeah, I went to the doctor and was trying to get some answers. And, like many of us, those answers aren't easy to get. I was offered antidepressants because that had to be the problem, right? But I knew it was something else. So again, like many of us, I took my healthcare into my own hands and started trying to figure out what was going on with me. And I had years ago heard about the negative effects of EMF on our biology, and at the time I didn't dig into it, but I thought back to that and thought, well, let's look into this now. Maybe that's what's going on, because I'd already cleaned up everything else, all the other environmental stuff, food, skincare, etc. And I quickly realized that EMF was the culprit. I essentially learned how to do a digital detox. So I got my laptop off my lap, hardwired it. Had my phone in airplane mode all the time, turned off Wi-Fi at night, went around my house with a consumer grade RF meter to find all the sources in my house. And it was a pretty quick change. Like, I noticed very quickly the difference in my symptoms, how I was feeling. Even like thinking back, I was like, oh, my nervous system was really taxed. And because it was such a strange time, we were all in lockdown and there was a lot going on, it was hard to connect those dots. It was easy to be like, oh, it's the stress of all of this, what's going on in the world. But looking back, like, and knowing what I know now and how the exposure affects me still, now I know what it really was. And so yeah. So once I identified what was going on, I started looking for solutions. So at home, I made a lot of changes. And then I was looking into the EMF clothing. And for me, it was pretty effective. And I kept trying to find some, though, that suited my body better. Like, there were men's underwear out there. Okay, of course, I'm not going to use those. There were some t-shirts, but the fabric didn't feel great. And the designs were kind of boxy and just not my style. And, and then I was seeing these pregnancy belly bands. And of course, through my research, I was like, oh, I should be very concerned about this around my children. I should not have been having my phone on my belly scrolling Instagram when I was pregnant. I should, all these things I was learning about the effect of, on our reproductive health and all this. I said, oh, look at this belly band. Like, this is great, but I would never wear this. I would never sit at an office and wear this. I would never go outside my house in this. I would there's got to be something else. And I couldn't find it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and do this on my own. But simultaneously, I had enrolled in this online business class, because that was the thing to do in 2020, all these online classes. and I was just kind of like knocking around some ideas. And then in this class, all the students were offered the chance to pitch their business or idea to a panel of entrepreneurs to win a 6-figure branding scholarship. And I was like, oh, well, I have this idea. I don't know if I could even make it work, but I'm going to pitch this idea anyway because, I think it's really great. And I pitched it and I won. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm starting this business. And so it took about a year and a half. And that was like furthering my education, understanding the materials out there, learning everything I could, and then the process of actually making garments, finding a manufacturer, finding a pattern maker, all that stuff, and then all the sampling process. So it was a lot of trial and error. It took a while, but then we got the belly band locked in. And then from there, once we got that figured out, we used that model to then develop other designs. So it's not just the maternity belly band, it's now the maternity legging, then it's a unitard and a bodysuit and like a casual play suit. So that's and in a couple weeks, I'm not sure when this will go live. Yeah, but yeah, now we have our first accessory. It's a EMF shielding fanny pack. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see that. I have your belly band and I have two of your play suits. And I love them, especially now in my third trimester when not a lot of things fit me anymore. I'm so grateful for them. I wear them all the time. And it's honestly such a sigh, gives me like peace of mind because when I wear it and I'm working at my desk or I have my phone, I don't have to think like, oh, where's my EMF blocking blanket? Because this is so close to my belly. I'm just like, oh, I'm wearing the garment. Like I'm safe today. I don't have to worry about this. And even before I was pregnant, every time I would travel on the plane, I would wear it every single time because I was like, I don't trust the amount of radiation and the amount of EMF that's happening on this plane. So I'm going to use this. So I'm a big fan. And, pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, post-pregnancy, I think it's just incredible.
Yeah. And that was the idea. It was like, it needs to be a seamless solution. It needs to be stylish and comfortable. So you don't have to think about it. You can it's just part of your daily like routine. You just put it on and then, yeah, sit in front of your computer. It's all good.
Yeah. And I think the fanny pack's actually a good idea because especially in the summer when like you're not wearing a jacket or like, I know you live in like a warm place, but here when I'm walking my dog and stuff and I'm putting my like fanny pack, my Lululemon one on, I put my phone in that and then it sits on my hips by my ovaries. Or I see people like my brother, like he wears his around his body and then his phone is just like right by his heart. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't say anything, but I'm like, imagine if there was shielding in that, just a little bit would help.
Exactly. I know it got to a point where I was just so sad every time I saw a woman walking around with her crossbody bag. I was like, I know you have your phone in there right now and it's sitting either right on your ovaries, right on your heart, right, just right on your organs and so close that it's really comparable to the distance that Apple says not to even hold your phone to your body. And it's for long periods of time. And it's like, and even for me, who's very sensitive, I can't, it's painful for me to have my phone on my body if it's not on airplane mode. And so for me, when I'm out walking the dogs or whatever, I have to have my phone on so my family can get a hold of me. And so like the fanny pack was just such a logical solution for me and it's great. So now I don't have to worry about it. I would love to always be in airplane mode. That would be awesome. But once you do that, no one can contact you. So if there's an emergency at home, what am
I mean, it's not realistic, right? Sadly, it just isn't. I'm thinking about this now. Like I would love, I guess I have to see your designs. I'm assuming that they're kind of unisex. Like I would love to get one for my husband because he always puts his phone in his pocket still. And I'm just like, come on, dude. Like, how many times do I have to tell you that this is impacting your sperm quality and your sperm count? Like,
I know. Well, I did just randomly start talking to a guy at the conference this weekend, and I had my fanny pack with me, and he was like, "Oh, I'd wear this. Yeah, no, this looks good." I was like, "Okay, well, I don't know how much his opinion, it means for your husband, but I was like, okay, so you're saying it's not so feminine looking that, it wouldn't cross over." So
Well, I think if you make a black one or like, more of like a neutral color, then I think it would totally be fine.
yeah. And so I know another gentleman who's like, "Oh, this is great, but I want mine to be bigger." Like, okay, we'll get there.
Yeah. But I mean, like fanny packs are supposed to be somewhat small. Like they're supposed to be like your phone and your keys and like,
Your credit
one
card.
credit card and that's it. Like it's not supposed to be like a big thing that you wear all the time.
Although I have a mom friend who's like, okay, look at the size of this one because I need to have small board books fit in it. I need to have some Legos get in there. I need some cars for them to play when we're sitting and having lunch. She's like, I need just a little bit more space or, so I think there's room depending on your needs. Yeah, there's room for, maybe another size, but
Then it's like you might as well make like a nice tote bag. You know what I mean? Like a shoulder bag.
yeah, which is great. Shark Chaser actually makes some really nice luxury ones. It's a luxury price point, but that's the idea. And they're beautiful. And when you're holding your tote bag, it's shielding your body. So the difference, so I see if I were to go to a tote bag, it's I see the importance of shielding where you're holding your phone. You're not necessarily carrying your tote as much on your shoulder as you do a fanny pack. Like you're not going to take your tote on a hike or to walk dogs. It's kind of a duration thing. And it and totes are great because you can hold them down by your ankles too, so they don't have to be resting against your body. So anyway, that's kind of how I'm thinking about them right now. But no, it's a wonderful idea. No, I think it's great.
Let's talk about Mimeo, a breakthrough longevity supplement that hacks your biology to help you look and feel younger. It was created by PhDs in nutrition from over 7 years of clinical research, and Mimeo was designed to mimic the longevity benefits of fasting in a simple daily pill. Not only has Mimeo been shown to extend lifespan in animals by 96%, but users have been able to take as much as 2.5 years off their biological age in just 8 weeks. How? Mimeo's groundbreaking biomimetic formula uses a patented blend of all natural metabolites that work together to help your cellular health from the inside out. First, there's OEA, which is a metabolic supercharger clinically proven to help control appetite and promote fat metabolism, so you can crush those cravings and silence food noise throughout the day. Then there's spermidine, the cellular autophagy activator, helping clear out cellular junk to boost cognition, clear brain fog, and refresh your cells. Next, there's nicotinamide, a broad spectrum NAD+ booster that's been shown to improve everything from metabolism to skin glow to immune health. And lastly, there's PEA, one of the body's most powerful rest and repair molecules that helps control inflammation, relieve discomfort, and enhance recovery so you can get that youthful energy back. Mimeo is designed to work like a super fast, super efficient fasting diet, but without actually having to fast. It's all about tapping into the power of your own biology, giving your body the cheat code to work its best, making you feel younger and healthier today. You can try Mimeo today. Use my discount code at checkout, which is biohackingbrittany, and you can get all of these benefits in a simple supplement today. Again, that's biohackingbrittany in all capitals. So definitely try it and let me know what you think. Yeah, it makes sense. And Shark Chaser, I'm going to look into them. I think you sent them to me a while ago, but I don't have any of their products. But I remember thinking like, oh, these are like next level. Like, because it's just a line of bags, right?
Yes, and she's a former designer for Tom Ford. So she's a legit like fashion designer. So her stuff is beautiful and super high quality and yeah, all that. So instead of going and buying a Gucci, go buy a shark chaser.
Okay. Noted. What else do you have coming down the pipeline, or is this the focus for the next year or so?
So this is the focus right now. We're going to see how this launch goes. I'm also still working on the apparel. I'm testing out some different fabrics and different styles. It's a very long process and it's so much trial and error. So I can't guarantee that I'll have something ready to go in the next couple months. I'm trying, but it's such a process.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I feel like I want you to make a short version of your playsuit or the unitard. Like, now that I'm so pregnant, all I wear is like one pieces because I don't like anything digging into me anywhere. But it's summer and it's hot. And I'm like, I just want shorts. Like, I don't care if they're tight or they're loose. It doesn't matter. And it would also be really cool if I could work out in them too. But then it obviously has to be sweat wicking material.
There's so many constraints and parameters to make the product just ready, for the right, just all the scenarios. So yeah,
the athletic apparel is like an interesting idea though, because like when I'm on my Peloton, like think about the EMF coming off of Peloton. And how do I even mitigate that? Like, I don't know if I've ever seen athletic apparel that is EMF blocking.
right. And like this morning, this is really great. I have a friend who turned me on to this Kundalini yoga class that's virtual. And so, but here I am because it's virtual and my Ethernet cord can't reach out to where my quiet space where I do it. I was like, oh, okay, well, I've got my Wi-Fi on now. I'm not wired, but boy, isn't it great to have some EMF shielding right now as I'm sitting in front of my screen, my laptop doing this, this yoga, class. So, yeah, there's some really practical applications for the.
Honestly, it's tough. It's tough. And like as you know, like I was going to develop EMF blocking underwear for women and I hit so many roadblocks. And I just felt like I wasn't a big enough expert in this space to be successful at it. And even I was talking to the friend of ours, Philip, who is the founder of Lila Quantum Tech. And he is thinking about coming out with a line of women's underwear, and and I've been talking to him about my designs. And he took my designs and he sent them to his manufacturer or designer. And they basically said very similar things of like, they didn't think it provided enough coverage in order for it to block enough EMF, because one of the designs was more of like a thong in the background, in the back. But then I replied to him, I said, like, I understand, but the thing is like, if you make granny panties for women, they're not going to wear them. They're not going to buy them. Like, they're going to be too thick and big, and like, they're not going to be seamless. You're going to see them under anything that you wear. And so they're not going with my designs, which is totally fine. But I'm so curious to see what they come up with, because there's so many hurdles with the woman's body and then EMF blocking. It's tough.
It's tough. Right. And, and that kind of brings us to the difference between Juunaday and something like the underwear that are all the way around. So because of like a lot of it is like trying to develop a product that is also in a price point that is feasible for as many people as possible. We're still, high end apparel or activewear. And that's because these materials are so expensive. And I just kept thinking, okay, well, where is the exposure the most? Yes, if you have these underwear all the way around, that's blocking out ambient EMFs. However, if you've got your devices, your handheld wireless devices in front of you, it's the distance and duration that's really where it is, right in front of your belly. Like we just talked about, it's sitting in your crossbody bag on your body. Your phone is there in front of your belly. Your laptop's in front of you. We're not texting behind our back. Like, and that intensity from your wireless devices is always going to be more, that power density is going to be more intense than that 5G tower that's down the block and bringing it via EMFs. And so, it kind of depends on how you want to protect yourself, what's most important to how you protect yourself. And it was just paramount for me to be protecting the front right over your reproductive parts, because that it was getting the close contact, long duration exposure at the highest power intensities. So not saying that all the ambient stuff isn't a problem. It is. It's just when we're thinking about how to make the garment that can actually go to market with all the requirements I want, it's okay. We're going to shield your reproductive parts. Like, that's where it's going to happen. So
Yeah, it's honestly so tough. Like, yeah, it's just so tough. There's so many hurdles. And I think you've done a great job of overcoming so many of them. I think another really interesting area would be like a sports bra. I'm sure you've seen the women who put their phones in their bras at the gym. And I used to do that before I knew better.
and so I've definitely considered that. And the problem is that if you use shielding materials or shielding products incorrectly, they're actually exposing you to more radiation. So if I were to make a sports bra that's shielded in the front and someone is used to putting their phone in their bra, that's going to make it worse for them. And I don't want to take the risk. Not that I don't think that my customers are uneducated on the topic, because if they're buying from Juunaday, they know what they're doing. And so, but for me, I just don't want to take the chance of having a customer either forget or not have the full understanding that what would happen wearing a shielded bra and what that would mean if you did put your phone in your bra, and how that would make the situation worse. So that's why I haven't gone down that road. I've considered doing tops that don't make it easy for you to put phone in your bra. That makes sense to me. That, so there isn't a likelihood that it would be used improperly.
That's fair. I mean, I think in general with your products, like there is a level of education that is there. And even on your website, like you having to explain what EMF is or how the fabric works and how it blocks it. So I think you could educate women on not putting their phones in their bras. But I understand your hesitation of like, oh man, like I really don't want to make this worse for you. But I'm really curious to see how the fanny pack does, because that has so many more uses. It's like so many more use cases, and even for men. So now you're like really opening up your market a lot more. I would love to talk to you about building a nursery. As you have 3 kids and I have 1 kid coming, which is crazy. And I have taken so much time to figure out baby products. It's like a whole thing. Like, I had no idea. I mean, thankfully you're pregnant for 9 months, so you have the time to research everything. But like everything is so toxic and cheap and plastic and filled with EMF. And so I've had to be very selective of the products that I've used. So I'm curious, like, how did you navigate that with your own pregnancies?
Sadly, 11 years ago, I didn't have the information that I have now. And I did what I thought was right at the time. Sorry, I'm going to get a little emotional. So, yeah, my twins were sleeping in a nursery with a Wi-Fi router in their room. And I would sit in my doctor's office, scrolling through Instagram with my phone on my belly. And, my one of my twins, he did have some developmental stuff that, of course, I can't directly pinpoint to that exposure, but I will always wonder if it would have been different. And I don't want other moms to have that feeling, So what I did do, I don't know, maybe intuitively, or maybe I was learning enough from Katie Wells, the wellness mama at the time, to kind of pay attention to some of these things. Like baby monitors in particular are big EMF emitters. And, we know that, of course, distance is our best defense. So I just happened to install the camera of our baby monitor as far away from the crib as humanly possible. And it was way up at the ceiling. So it was at where the wall met the ceiling and on the other side of the room from the crib. So that was at the time, before there were low EMF monitors and things like that, that was probably the best that could be done in the baby's room. However, the receiver where you see the video was always right by my bed, of course. So I could hear the baby and see the baby whenever I wanted. So, now we're so much more aware. And so when we think about baby monitors, you think about, it's not just the camera and the exposure in the baby's room. It's also your exposure to the receiver that's showing you what's going on with the baby. So unless you are completely wired, you have the camera and the receiver completely wired, there's going to be EMFs coming off of a monitor. There are ways to hardwire them. You can, you've probably seen like these Nest Home indoor cameras, like to watch your pets when you're away or whatever, So you can take one of those and hardwire it. And then, of course, hardwire whatever receiver you're using, whether it's your phone, your iPad, or your Google Hub or whatever, you can hardwire those. But the problem is that, getting wherever you live, it's difficult to get a hardwired situation. If you're renting, if you're in a home where it's just not feasible, if your modem doesn't have enough ports and you have all of these Ethernets coming out and down the halls, and then you have this little baby crawling around and there's cords and like, it's a lot. It can be done. You can hardwire it if you have the right port, the Ethernet port right there in the baby's room. Great. If you have one there, you can hardwire your device as long as but here's another thing at night. We like to turn off everything at night, Wi-Fi, router, and modem, because the modem emits some EMF too. So it's like, well, if you're turning all that off at night, then if your receiver and your camera are hardwired to Ethernet, well, then that's going to shut that off. And so it's not an easy solution. It is your zero EMF solution, but it's not realistic for many people. I would always encourage, yes, if you can do it, and in a safe way where there aren't dangerous cords going all over the place. So when, I would also think about, like, one, do you really need a video monitor? Do you need it? And if you need it, do you need it at night? Does your baby maybe sleep in the room with you? Do you just want it for nap time? when, it's a shorter duration of exposure, maybe you don't need the video. Maybe you can do the audio only ones that are battery operated. Like, I think it's good to kind of think about how you would use it and when and the duration. And then if possible, if you have one of those consumer grade RF meters, to test whatever one you and and then install it the furthest possible distance from the crib, from where your baby's sleeping. And you the big red flags are the ones that are, the smart monitors. They have sleep tracking capabilities. They have in-app alerts, Wi-Fi enabled. Like, any of those words, don't get it. You don't need it. No one needs to track their baby's sleep data. Really, you don't. For a healthy baby. I'm not talking about preemies and compromised, that I'm not talking about that. That is completely different. I'm talking about healthy, strong babies that, really for millennia have been just fine without sleep data. And, there were many times I didn't even need the monitor. I didn't need the video. I can hear my babies. If they're upset, if they're crying, I can hear them. I don't need the monitor to tell me or show me. So that's always something to think about. So nothing that, is Wi-Fi enabled or connects to an app, nothing that touches your baby or is in the crib with the baby. I would avoid all of that, because that's just bringing EMFs into the crib. And then let's see what else. So wired. So then you think, okay, which one do I choose? Okay, there's the wired solution I talked about. So maybe you can easily wire it in the baby's room, but can't wire the device that receives it. So that's something to consider. And then there's low EMF options. There was a mom that recommended to me, it's called Larev or Larev, something like that. I've seen this one. She said that one was pretty good. I haven't tested myself. So again, like, if you get it and try it, like, test it, see, like, find out for sure. Because you don't want to buy something that says low EMF. You bring it home and then, it turns on with movement, and all of a sudden it's blasting EMF. And then I saw this one company called BebCare. I don't know about their video ones, but I was very interested in their audio only ones, because they have rechargeable batteries. So it's all battery operated. And again, that's not triggering a bigger response with that video. Like, bringing on the video will, give you an additional burst of EMF. And then I like anything that doesn't have to be plugged into the wall. That's the magnetic field that you want to, eliminate too. So if we, then aside from all the radio frequency exposure from the Wi-Fi enabled stuff, then, we're also looking at things that plug into the wall, because that's your magnetic fields, and lighting. And, LED lights are EMF emitter and can be very detrimental to your biology too. So thinking about those things in the baby's room, if you can at all manage to not have anything plugged in the baby's room, you don't have dimmer switches, maybe if possible, you can switch out your LED lights or just not use them. And a great tip for middle of the night, like feedings and diaper changes, is one of those battery operated red light lamps. Like, I have just a clip-on reading lamp for when I read at night. And that is just a great, great solution for, instead of flipping on a lamp or a light or flashlight or what I like, or using your camera flashlight or your phone flashlight or something like that. Like, it's such a great circadian rhythm friendly solution is one of those just rechargeable battery operated red light lamps. And then also sound machines. So again, thinking about circadian rhythm, we don't want to have a light on in the nursery at night. So there are, again, battery operated sound machines, which is the best solution. Some of them have those little green indicator lights, like on and off, tape over them. So that's another great like EMF free solution for the nursery. Yeah, and then in terms of like when you're up breastfeeding at night, I sadly fell into the habit of texting with my mom friends at 3 a.m. who are also up breastfeeding at the same time, and just, what are you doing for this? And it's like, okay, well, so one, I wish I had just not even brought the phone into the nursery back in those days. So I was more present for my baby. I was more focused on the hormones and all the good fuzzy feelings and just like more in tune with my baby. It was just, you get to a point sometimes we are so sleep deprived and you're just kind of grasping at straws. And it was comforting to be able to text with someone who was also in the same phase and all that stuff. And then you just get sucked in, you can get sucked into social or whatever, just to kind of make the time go by. And so anyway, if you are bringing your phone to the party, hey, there are safer ways to do it. So using the red light screen on your phone, that setting, one, because not only is it going to interrupt your circadian rhythm, it's also going to be for your baby. And all you want is your baby to sleep, right? You don't want to do anything to disrupt that. So also download everything. Download a podcast if you want to listen to it. Download games if you like playing solitaire on your phone. Just download everything and keep Bluetooth turned off, airplane mode on. If you're going to have your phone with you, no shame. Just there are safer ways to do it.
Introducing GlycanAge, the ultimate biological age test that helps you discover, measure, and optimize your health. With GlycanAge, understanding your body has never been simpler or more scientific. GlycanAge is more than just a number. It's a comprehensive analysis of your biological age determined by measuring chronic inflammation in your system, a direct result of your lifestyle choices. The test, which is backed by over 30 years of scientific research and validated by over 200,000 tests, gives you insights published in world-renowned medical journals. Getting started is super easy. The at-home test includes everything you need. Simply collect your sample and send it right back. And in just 3 weeks, the lab will analyze your sample and generate a detailed report on your biological age. They don't just stop there, though. Each GlycanAge test includes a free consultation with one of their experts. They'll help you understand your results and suggest lifestyle changes to enhance your health and longevity. GlycanAge is unique. It responds to lifestyle interventions, unlike other aging clocks. Whether it's through caloric restriction or weight loss or any other healthy habit you might bring in, there are studies that show that these beneficial health changes really can make a difference in your glycan aging. Are you ready to take control of your health? You can use my code biohackingbrittany at checkout for a 15% off discount on your GlycanAge test. Discover your true biological age with GlycanAge and start optimizing your life today. My goodness. I love everything that you just shared. Wow. So helpful. So helpful. And I'm actually following a lot of what you recommended. So we got given secondhand baby monitors that are audio only and don't use Wi-Fi. And I don't know what signal they work on. I have to actually check if they work, but they're quite old, so I'm not sure. But what I've actually seen when I was doing my research is like no Wi-Fi available, or however they word it, for monitors is actually becoming a thing because people have been sketched out with putting their like videos of their babies onto Wi-Fi and then people accessing their Wi-Fi, which is like a completely different discussion and so creepy that that is actually something that is possible, that people can hack into your cameras and watch your baby sleep, watch you breastfeed. I don't know, like who knows do what, is terrible. So I'm happy to see like people researching that and being like, okay, I don't want Wi-Fi I don't want my kid on the internet, which I think is great. But like same with you, we just decided like, I don't think I need the video. The baby will sleep in our room for who knows how long. And then, unless I feel like there is some sort of serious health condition that I would want to visually watch the video all the time. But I've also heard from moms who say like, when you get the video right away, you become like addicted to it and you're just like checking it, and you wake up in the middle of the night, you roll over and you're like, okay, I'm just going to check it quickly. Right.
And then that casts your eyes with the video light, the blue light. And
exactly.
It's not helping you.
Exactly. Or it like connects to the app on your phone. And then obviously your phone can't be on airplane mode when you need to connect to that app. So then are you getting like all those notifications? And like, we're not even going down that rabbit hole because I don't think it's worth it. And then also very interesting what you were saying about the baby sleep data, because I don't know if you've seen, but there's this thing called the Owlet out there. Yeah. So like for people who don't know, it's like basically this little like sock almost that like goes on the baby's foot and it tracks their sleep. And at first, when I got pregnant, I was like, oh, I want this. Like, I want to know the heart rate. I want to know the HRV. Like, how do I optimize my baby's health? And then I was like, oh man, like this is definitely going to be emitting EMF and radiation. Is it worth it? And then I was like, no, it's probably not worth it. So
not worth it. And actually the Owlet sock has been pulled off the market because the FDA declared it a medical device and they weren't advertising according to the FDA rules for medical devices. So I don't think it's available for purchase right now anyway.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, that's good to know. And then that other brand you mentioned, BebCare, that was the one I was going to go with if we were going to buy our own monitor. And they have like a pad that you put underneath the sheet. And it does the same thing of like tracking like heart rate and all these things. And I thought it was so interesting that like a company that is like all about reducing EMF has this product that is like, hey, here's how to track your baby, which apparently the product is low EMF. But I was like, I'm still not going to go there.
Yeah. It's just, it in my mind, it's just not necessary. It really is not necessary. And I mean, what 2000 years ago, what babies were sleeping on a pad? It's all that stuff where I always just kind of thinking back, like, what was the ancestral version of, how we did this and how can we get as close to that as possible in our modern world?
I also think I would just become like neurotic about the data.
That's not healthy. It really is.
Exactly. And it would just stress me out even more. And so like, it's almost like ignorance is bliss for this. Like, I just don't need to know. And then what we did for the white noise machine is we bought one, it's called like yoga something. It's like this little round device and you charge it, but it doesn't stay plugged in and there's no light or anything on it. And so you can just like hook it on the stroller, put it in the room, wherever. And so that's what I went with. Although everybody gets the Hatch sound machine, which connects to your phone. It like, you can change the light, you can change the soundscapes on it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't want to bash products. Just be aware that that product comes with EMF. And so, but you reminded me about the strollers. So I see moms walking around with their phones in the strollers with the right next to the baby, or, if they're playing music for the baby or whatever it is. So stroller walks. Yeah, please think about where your phone is, whether it's on or in airplane mode, and never sitting in their hands or in the bassinet next to them, on them. It's hard for me to see sometimes. It really is.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I will probably just take the bag that you're going to make and just like attach it to the stroller handles.
Yeah, because and making sure that the EMF, the backside of the bag with the EMF material is what is between the phone and your baby. Yeah. See, but think about this though. So if you are attaching it to the stroller like that, think about where the shielding material is. So in that scenario, the shielding material will be between your baby in the stroller and you. Now, if you put the phone between the shielding material and you, it's going to send the radiation, it's going to reflect it towards you. So we're not going to make stroller clips for the bag.
Fair.
So
fair.
this is what I would do. Wear it on your hips or cross body with the bag facing behind you. Okay. So that means your body is shielded. Your phone is facing backwards. So it's not reflecting that radiation towards you or the baby in front of you.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Because I guess the bag doesn't have the shielding like completely around it.
Because that would actually, so that's a Faraday cage scenario. So that means your phone would not work. And if there were any teeny tiny openings at all, or even the zipper, you unzip it, your phone is working so hard to get a signal in that Faraday bag that once you open it, it's just blasting, working harder, trying to find a signal and emitting more radiation that way. So we don't want a Faraday bag. We want that phone to be working the way it would always work and communicate the way it would, because otherwise it's not. And a Faraday bag, like, just turn off the Bluetooth on your phone and put it in airplane mode, and you have it's the same as putting it in a Faraday bag. So
Yeah, fair. Yeah. And then I guess it'd be the same if you're using like a baby carrier in the front. Like you would put the bag at the back and have the radiation go behind you. Obviously, like versus like wearing it over your hip or like on the side or anywhere close to both of you. Yeah, that's really good to know. And I'm sure you're going to like educate people on that, and like that'll be part of like your whole marketing thing.
yes, because it's an important distinction. Just like we were talking about the sports bra, if you're not using the products as they're intended, they can be detrimental instead of helpful. So
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, it's so tough. Like it's so hard because like there's so many, technologies that come with so much convenience, especially with babies, but then you have to think about things like EMF and like at what cost do we have the comfort and the convenience? So even thinking about like just the baby monitor, it's like, okay, there's not going to be a video. So if I'm downstairs and I hear something, I guess I'm just going to go upstairs and check. Right? Versus like me having the video, flipping it on, being like, oh, the baby's fine. I don't need to go anywhere. It just means that I'm going to be doing more stairs, which is great.
Also, you also get to know your baby's noises. You get to know what they all mean. So, I mean, it takes a little, you guys get to know each other over a period of time, but you'll know, and you'll listen. And then sometimes it just is cooing or playing in the crib, and that's great too. And you just let it be. And then times you hear the crying and the baby needs mommy. So
yeah, I love that. Yeah. But I also think what you said earlier too about like just not buying things that plug in general is a really easy way to kind of keep this at bay. When we've been buying toys, not that we've even bought much at all, it's been like wood. Like like little stuffed animals that are made out of cloth, like it, just none of this like light up things that are charged and make sounds and they walk across the room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it would drive me nuts. I would kick it first of all before even letting it.
And they scare you. They'll like out of the blue start making noise. And you're like, there's a ghost in here. Like, you're like, what's going on? Yeah. I don't. But I also want to say with all of this, so, the worst thing you could do is be fearful of all this stuff. Like that is worse than any of the EMF exposures, being fearful, because we have enough things to worry about as moms, new moms, all of this, and guilt and, fear and shame and all this stuff and questioning yourself. It's like, you don't need to add fear of EMFs onto this. Remember that your baby is built for this world with a very strong immune system. Their gut has not been destroyed by antibiotics, has not been destroyed by glyphosate. Like, they have resilience, they have strong immunity, and they can really, just listening to this podcast, any mom, new mom, pregnant mom, whatever, listening to this podcast is already leaps and bounds ahead of the game. You're already supporting your baby's health. It just with all the knowledge you're sharing. So remember that you're on the right track, and don't let the fear of EMFs and the fact that you don't have Ethernet or a wired connection or anything make you feel scared, because your baby is strong and can really, they have a robust immune system. They're getting nutrients from mom. Like, it's okay. It's okay. So I wanted to make sure that,
I love that. No, it's a really good point, and it's very encouraging for all the mamas listening out there and mamas to be and whatnot. Because it can be so overwhelming. And I like went through that of like, holy, how do I make all of these right decisions? But even one small healthier decision that you're making makes a difference and adds up. And also, like, no one's perfect. No one's going to have like the perfect non-toxic baby nursery, even no matter what. Even if you follow some sort of guide or whatever you might do, there's off-gassing. There's the house that you live in. There's, 5G towers. Like, there's so much, like, even that you can't even control. So, like,
hidden mold, you don't know. Like, I mean, it's a lot. And to bring Katie Wells up again, I love her viewpoint. It's the 80-20 rule. It's like, what can you do 80% of the time and still, not feel bad about the 20% that you can't do anything about, or changes that you're not making. And I love that, because it gives you the freedom to relax and not, get down on yourself that you are not 100% toxin free or 100% everything. Because that is it. I think it's sadly nearly, very close to impossible, especially depending on where you live.
Yeah. Sadly, yeah. In today's world, there's so much exposure. It's almost impossible, like you said, and which makes it more empowering to make these decisions to be healthier, and like makes them more important and necessary. And that's why we even have to have this discussion. Like 20 years ago, no one was talking about this, because, like, I don't know, what was EMF? What were people even using for monitoring babies? Like, there's no Wi-Fi in homes 20 years ago. No. So there's no iPhones.
Yeah, like, I don't think my parents had a baby monitor. I think I came home in a cardboard box, not a plastic car seat. Like, it's just like, wow.
Things have developed drastically. But I think it's so important to just like provide help and resources for people, because there are solutions. But like you said, like, it does feel like an uphill battle, but it's okay if you're not like fighting 100% of the time, you know, because the stress as well will kill you and just make you sick and compound. So if people want to try Juunaday or connect with you or both, how can they do that?
We're at Juunaday.com, Juunaday, on Instagram at Juunaday. And feel free to send us an email, hello@Juunaday.com.
Amazing. Yeah, I have a discount code with you. I think it's just Brittany, actually. Yeah, people can use that if they want and to try your products, which I love. Maybe I'm sure by the time this comes out, your bag will probably be out. So
Think so. I hope so.
maybe we'll see. If not, it's coming soon. So Stay tuned.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Sign up for the newsletter. We'll tell you about it when it
exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again. This was great and just so helpful to give mamas like tips and guidance on low EMF with their babies, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I always love spending time with you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for listening to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. If you're interested in finding the show notes or the sponsors for this episode, you can do so on my website, which is biohackingbrittany.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram where I'm most active. My handle is @biohackingbrittany. And if you're interested in working together and you want to email me directly, you can do that. My email is info@biohackingbrittany.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and having you tune in next week.